I remember back in June, back in 2024 June, people protested, especially the Gen Zs. They protested against the finance bill at that time, and it fell. But at that time, when all of these things were happening, I was back home with my parents. I was no longer in here in HQ Nairobi when all of this was happening. And I remember that when all of this was happening, bro, by the way, there was so much bloodshed out here. And I'm sorry for those who lost their life, for those who lost their loved ones at that time. This was the news. But anyway, when I was at home with my parents, I remember them telling me about, yo, what would have you done if you were in Nairobi? Would you have gone? And for the first time, I never lied to my mom. And for the first time means for the longest time, I've always lied. Oh, I told her that I would have gone. I would have shown up for my fellow Gen Zs, like I would have shown up out there. And bro, she quarreled with me, bro, for the longest time. But anyway, my mom's loves me, bro. My mom's loves me. She loves me more than anything, bro. Come on. That's what she was, who wouldn't, man? They saw the news, they saw the headlines about bloodshed, people going home with bruises and severe injuries, and I mean, what kind of a parent will she be if she wouldn't worry about me? And I know she loves me. But, mom, I'm sorry. This time around, I'm in Nairobi. I don't know how it's gonna go, but yo, I'm here and I'd like to see. So anyway, there's this word, guys, by the way, here. The word, this is the word. I don't know if you can see it. Adjournment. Adjournment. Anyway, there are some cases that which never get a verdict. They never really get a verdict. They just get adjourned over and over until everyone forgets that they have there's even supposed to be a final answer. And that's more or less the shape of what's been happening in this country for the last past 2 years. Come on. And I'd start my argument by saying June 2024. Yeah, that's my opening argument, if you want to think of it in that way, though. But during this time, a finance bill landed in the parliament, new taxes on ordinary things, you know, at a moment when the cost of living was already squeezing people harder than it had in years. Most of us know this. And something happens that hadn't happened in quite years, and it happened in a different kind of shape. I mean, young people, mostly the Gen Zs, they had no single leader. There was no political party running the show. They started organizing entirely through their phones. TikTok, X, WhatsApp group. People were reading the actual bill clauses by clause and expanding it to each other in plain language, because nobody in power was doing that for them. And I remember this time people were posting about people who are actually educating people on TikTok. Bro, like, I remember, honestly speaking, I've never opened the bill, but at that time, bro, like, I had to stick with it. Like, I really need to know what was in it. But blood, come on, people are really angry out here. And what I came to realize, it wasn't really about one tax line in one bill. Okay, that was just the spark. Underneath all of this, it was everything that has been building for years. Like, there was youth unemployment sitting somewhere around two-thirds of the people who are under 35 years and below, in without stable formal work. And also a cost of living that kept climbing while wages didn't. A long, tired frustration with corruption that nobody could feel, but nobody in the office seemed to be fixing. And even to a point, also, the bill was just the moment all of that finally had somewhere to go. It was like a venting of some sort. I'd say that. Because look at this, man. This is too much. I mean, youth unemployment, and you realize that 70% of these countries, we are below 35 years. And as you see, the most people below 35 and below, they have no jobs in Kenya. And a job, I mean the formal jobs in the corporate ladder. I mean, in Kenya, people are really smart. People have gone to school. People have done so much, campus, degrees, certificates, diplomas. We're really smart people out here in the education sector. But the protest worked, okay, in the narrow sense. It really worked. The bill got withdrawn, but people died getting that result. That exact count depends on who's counting and how. Okay. That count, okay, depends on who's counting and how, okay, but it runs into the dozens young people in the streets, okay, in a country that likes to think of itself as a stable kind of a country, and that's so absurd, you know. And that's the part that doesn't get repealed along with the bill. And you can withdraw a piece of legislation, right? But you cannot withdraw what happened to the families who buried someone that June. I saw one. It was about this guy. He was singing about. It was a song, or it was someone. It was Nyashinsky songs, Nyashinsky song. It was only you, baby. You're my only one. That guy, but he died, and that it went through social media. And bro, his family will never get that back. Imagine. His family will never get him back. Even us will never get to experience him even singing that song. And what you come to realize is that even though the bill got pulled, coming June 2025, my second argument here is, which was the first anniversary. Okay, and instead of a quiet remembrance, this turned out into another confrontation. Okay, more people killed. This time during what was supposed to be commemoration only, more than a protest. You know, we had grief and demand for justice, sharing the same streets, the same date, different year, but the same anger that hadn't actually gone anywhere in 12 months. Then came June 2026, after the June 2025. I mean, a few weeks ago, the second anniversary happened. Yeah, right. There's a new finance act on the table, which the government describes as a pro-growth. It is aimed at encouraging investment rather than squeezing citizens the way the old one did. Come on, guys. But we are not fools, are we now? I think our generation is one of the most open-eyed generation in Kenya. We are the most open-eyed generation, guys. Come on. Gen Zs are the most open-eyed people out there, don't get me wrong. You know, Protesters and a lot of the ordinary Kenyans see something closer to the same old pattern wearing a slightly different label. The finance card came. I don't, but they're saying that's a pro growth kind of thing rather than you say invest rather than squeezing the ordinary citizen. But we all see through your lies, man. You know, but still, even during this anniversary, a few weeks back, thousands still went back to the streets. More are still mourning. Layered on the top of they're layered on top of 2 years of mourning that came before it at least. you know and Sabasaba, which was June 7th, a date that already carried real historical weight in this country from the 1990s, by the way, from the fight for multi-party democracy, landed just days ago this year. Okay, because we're literally in July 10th right now. We're July 10th right now. It landed just days ago this year, by the way. It was carrying fresh weight stacked right on top of the old. It is the same case, by the way. Third appeal, actually. Still no verdict that actually satisfies anyone. I'm not talking, by the way, when I'm saying this, guys, I'm just talking my mind out here, trying to, I really want your opinion on this, but I really don't know. I'm just sharing my thoughts because I was home. And in reality, we're supposed to be more of an observer than actually more of an observer sometimes than a participant. And but here's what I think gets missed when this gets talked about only in numbers and dates. Okay, what what does it really feel supposed to feel like? Being inside all of this, like it's happening to us, being in a generation it being the generation that keeps happening to. Like it's exhausting in a way that okay, it's really exhausting, and it's really hard to explain to anyone who hasn't lived inside this. You know, it's like it's kind of a grief that's become almost seasonal. You know, it's coming again around June again. The way a storm season is coming, except this storm has come at has this except that this storm has come with names attached to it. I mean, people who did not make it home in that June, you know, and there's real fear in that too, the kind that doesn't go anywhere just because you believe in why you're out there, showing up anyway, knowing what it cost before, the previous years before, and you know what it cost us. It's the absence of fear. It isn't the absence of fear. It's fear, it's present all the time. The fear, I think the fear in a way, it's outweighed by something else. Okay. And I'd like to say what that thing is really. And but I think there's something else running underneath all of that, that doesn't get talked about enough either. It's, I'd say, if I'd use the laws of human nature, I'd put it in this kind of way, like it's a strange kind of pride, or maybe just stubbornness in the fact that nobody had to who it's kind of in fact it's kind of a stubbornness in fact that nobody has had to be told to show up, like nobody's been told to show up. There was no party organized. There was no single leader called anyone in the streets. I mean, it happened because enough of individual people, mostly who are young, and it mostly happened online, decided independently that the answer they'd gotten wasn't good enough. Bro, come on. And some of that turned into the same decision made by thousands of people, okay, without anyone coordinating it from the top. Like we just showed up, bro. You'd say it's a strange kind of pride, or maybe just stubbornness, because you'd say we are young, right? And we showed up with nobody from the top telling us anything about showing up. We showed up. Communication was through. I saw communications were in the internet. People were just filming live out here. But that's a strange, specific kind of human thing. It was kind of a leaderless case, you know, urged by everyone who has something at stake, instead of by lawyers had to argue it for them instead. I mean, we could have had lawyers for a matter of fact. They maybe had they would have maybe gone out here and tried to actually fight for us, in the court. But there'll be also something known as cognitive bias, trying to reinforce the judge's beliefs, trying to tell them that you're the one who's right and they are wrong. But we need to tell the truth. And I think human beings, even Kenyans to be specific here, we do not like the truth, because literally we Gen Zs, we are telling people the truth. People in the political sector don't like the truth. They like what's convenient to them, what comes easy to them. But I go back and forth on what to feel about the fact that this keeps happening on the same schedule now. Like, honestly, some days it feels like proof that nothing actually changes in this country. That the same fight just gets restaged every June, like it's a play nobody wanted to keep performing. But other days, I think the return itself is the whole point. You know, a population that had actually given up wouldn't keep showing back up to the same case year after year. It's at real personal cost, and the personal cost here, bro, it's either We fight for this or we die. And still hoping for an actual verdict instead of another adjournment. I mean, it's an endless cycle. It's an endless loop. But I'd say also this, that nobody knows yet how this particular chapter ends. Whether the current finance act holds, or whether next June brings people back into the streets again, or whether something finally shifts enough that it doesn't have to. We really don't know, do we know? We are just throwing cards out there, like how like I think if we really need to be lucky, we really need to play our game right here. Like, as much as we throw our cards out there and expect them to land on God and that He tends to help us out here, we should also learn how to play this game. We need to make rules of our own. Like, that boiling water can also harden an egg, and it can also soften a potato. I'm not trying to say that we need to be soft or hard. I'm just trying to say we need to make, when it gets heated, we need to make our own rules, play by our own rules, to make our own rules too. That's how the game of chess is played. This is chess, bro. This is not checkers. And we cannot always be going with the same kind of outrage every time. But what's actually clear is that this case actually never got a verdict, okay? It just got a series of adjournments, each one leaving the same underlying complaint sitting exactly where it started, you know? And somewhere out there, actually, this generation is still showing up to argue it in whatever form that takes this year, on a play card, on a phone screen, in a TikTok explaining a finance bill line by line to someone who doesn't have time to read it themselves. We are gonna do that because, bro, we have seen these people are proving it over and over again, bro, and they're gonna do it, man. But what's really gonna happen? We all know that next is coming, and what's gonna happen? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching.